Oh, it is Money Monday, a segment here at 4 o'clock where we talk about easy to understand ways to navigate our finances. We do it with the help of our financial expert and friend, Paul Hood from Hood CPAs, and it is good to have you back in studio again. Paul, how are you?
Good to be here. I'm great,
That's
man.
a very sharp jacket. I like that.
Thank you. Thank you.
We got a lot of good questions this week. Tom wrote in. We'll start with Tom. He said, I recently got laid off and decided to start my own business, so that's the good news. I've got the connections, got the idea, but I'm not very good with money. What should I prepare for financially with starting my own business?
Well, what I would say is it depends on the type of business. If it's a service business, because there's a lot of service people, engineers, accountants, attorneys, get laid off or whatever, and then they start a service-based business, so you don't have very many expenses. So it's more planning for profit a lot faster. If you're starting a business that is capital intensive, then we got to figure out, do you buy new equipment, used equipment, how do we get that done? So it's just like anything else. Brian will sit down and he should sit down and schedule out a budget, figure out how to price his product or service based on the activity that he's willing to put forth. So it's just a planning process. So I would definitely recommend him seek some assistance in putting together those numbers.
Okay. An idea is a start, right?
That's right.
You got to start there.
Right. But you got to execute.
Right. And have a budget, I'm sure, is very important with that.
That's right.
Because, again, it's an emotional decision, right, when you're starting to buy things for your business.
Yeah, and don't do things with your retirement plans. A lot of people will take money out of their retirement plans. Try to keep those separate.
Okay, good. Joe says, I have 3 young kids. When should I start saving for college?
Well, so there's different ways to save for college, and we've talked about this a little bit, Brian, and so the easy answer is the sooner the better. There's studies that show 2 18-year-olds, I think we've talked about this, one starts at 18, saves for 10 years, one starts at 28 and saves for 20 years. The one that started right away had more money at retirement. So the sooner the better. But I would tell Joe to look at what type, maybe a combination, because there's 529 plans, Oklahoma 529s or state-sponsored 529, where you can get a deduction, but if they don't use it for college, there's penalties for taking it out. So you kind of have to weigh that. It can be transferred, but now, start saving now.
Yeah, our last question goes to the kids too. Christina writes in asking you, I'm more than a saver than a spender, and I want to show my kids the importance of saving. I see their spending habits, and I worry that what I've done so far isn't enough. Well, what can I do to show them that it's important not to spend every dime that they get?
Well, I would say, have heart. I mean, be confident that our kids do duplicate what we do. Now, every now and then one will stray. I would get them involved with the budgeting process to show them, hey, we bring in this amount, we're living on this amount, and this is why, what we do, whether you tithe, you save, or what have you. But the more they're involved and start them early, set them up a savings account and let them look at that account. I mean, the old-fashioned piggy bank helps some, but I like to get them a savings account. It's in their name, to have them put 10 to 20% of what they make into that savings account right away.
I was bad. I was an only child. My grandpa gave me 20 bucks. I'd go buy something on the shelf that was exactly 20
bucks, yeah.
And then we get to the counter, he'd say, what about interest? Yeah. And I was like, oh, is that part of this too?
That's right.
He always had my back, but it's hard as kids. You want to be able to spend what you
Well,
get.
and we naturally spend what we have. We don't actually look in our wallet and say, I have another $100, but that's why it's important to save before you spend.
Paul, great advice as always, and good to see you in studio.
You too.
If you have a financial question that you would like for us to ask Paul next week, all you have to do is send in a quick email. You can do it right now. It's at moneymonday@griffin.news.